Money has been a major concern during the coronavirus pandemic. Most people are starting to closely examine their finances. And now there's even more concern these days about retirement savings, especially the future of something like pensions. Financial experts have specific advice for anyone preparing for retirement. Elijah Kovar is a financial advisor with Great Waters Financial, and he's joining us now to walk us through what we need to know. Good morning, Elijah.
Good morning.
Let's talk a little bit about pensions. There's already been some scrutiny around pensions or some concern around pensions in recent years. Is that right?
Right. Even before COVID-19, there's no secret that some companies and governments have been underfunded, and people are questioning, can you back up the promise that you're making to me? Now, as we advise our clients at Great Waters Financial in Minnesota, the MSRS, you can look at their website, you can see their funding, and we are doing a lot better than many other states. But it's certainly something to be aware of on an ongoing basis.
But there are some new concerns now. Something new has been happening with pensions as of late, as I understand.
Yeah, there are two big ones that I've been hearing about. First of all, people are going, well, I know the funds that back up my pension are invested somewhere. Is the COVID-19 situation impacting that? Hopefully right now we can put your mind at ease seeing that the stock market has rebounded. From a year ago, we're up 5%, but we're not out of the woods yet. So that's something to keep tabs on. And then the other thing is that since 2015, you've seen companies selling the pension to private insurance companies. Now, the issue with this is that the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation will back up your payment if it's through your employer. However, if they sell it to an insurance company, that government-backed agency does not back up your pension payments. So we've got to understand what companies it's being sold to, understand their solvency as well.
All right, so what are your tips for people then if they have a pension? Because not everyone does, but.
Well, first of all, understand if you're in this situation where you're finding out your company may be selling it to one of these insurance companies like Athene, if that happens, check out the ratings of that insurance company. Check out their financial solvency. Do you trust them to be able to make that payment for the rest of your life? AM Best, Standard & Poor's, and Moody's are the major rating agencies that go through these insurance companies' books every year, and they'll tell you if this is an A-rated insurance company.
And then does this impact you if you have a 401k?
It certainly can. And many people, Minnesota employers like IBM, for example, or 3M, people will have both a 401k and then they also have a pension plan that has a cash balance associated with it. And the biggest thing to remember with all of this is that you can't make this pension decision in a silo from your Social Security, your taxes, your investments, your 401k. It all has to be part of a comprehensive financial plan. So it's important to understand the options. If you have a 401k, you may have a pension that also shows a cash balance like that 401k. And there's three things we evaluate when we're sitting down with people. Number one, should I consider taking the pension option as a lump sum like I would with my 401k? Invest the funds and take responsibility for that income for myself for a lifetime. Or if I want to shift that to an insurance company, should I buy the pension? Because that's what you're doing. When you trade over that lump sum for a lifetime payment, you are purchasing an annuity from your company. Should I buy it from the company? Is that the best option for me? Or should I take my lump sum and buy an annuity or a pension from an outside insurance company that I get to choose myself? Making sure that you're working with an expert to evaluate all three of these options is key.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot to know. Elijah, thank you so very much. We appreciate it.
You bet.
Well, you can get all this information right now by texting 4 p.m., no spaces or punctuation, to us at 763-797-7215, and we will send you a direct link.